Welcome back to another episode of Archie Sonic Character Files as we explore the histories of the inhabitants on planet Mobius. In this episode, we take a look at the underground civilization known as the Nerbs. Yeah, we're going back to covering some more obscure characters. Heck, these guys have less screen time than Vertical and Horizontal and could almost be considered one-shots, but I'm getting ahead of myself. They made their first appearance in issue 10 in the story Attack of the Nerbs. Sonic and his freedom fighters try to steal some of Robotnik's electric energy, but find themselves caught up in one of Robotnik's traps. Suddenly, a nerdy green thing called a Nerb pops out of the ground, and the freedom fighters decide to use his tunnel to escape, despite the Nerbs' protest about it. They meet their king, who tells them that the Nerb civilization here lived underground for years, away from the outside world, and accuse Sonic and his friends of causing so much trouble for their underground village. Sonic tells them that it's all Robotnik's doing, and they should team up to stop him, but he refuses and sends them on their way. As they look for a way back to Knothole, Sonic comes across Robotnik and his robots digging underground, and notice that they have captured some Nerbs in the process. Despite their rude behavior, Sonic decides to save them and put an end to Robotnik's digging by unleashing the floodgates underground to wash away Robotnik and his robots. And so the Nerb King thanks Sonic and his team by making them honorary Nerbs with the proper Nerb attire, much to the dismay of the freedom fighters. It looked like this was the first and only time we would see the Nerbs show up in Archie Sonic, but they made a surprising return in Sonic Universe issue 37. Around this time, the Dark Legion had fallen from power after a resurrected Interjack decided to strip away their cybernetics and technology, so they joined forces with the second Dr. Robotnik to form the Dark Egg Legion, Robotnik's new army, and conquering all of Mobius and subjecting people through the legionization process. And it turns out some of the Nerbs have decided to join Robotnik, all led by their Grandmaster, simply known as the Foreman. After being tricked by Snively from receiving a message that Robotnik has died, the Foreman and his Nerbs continue with their mining facility underground, but the Foreman is quickly teleported to the Death Egg Mark II along with all the other Grandmasters to see that Robotnik is alive and furious they would just simply abandon him after thinking that he's dead. He scolds at the Foreman and the others, reminding them all that he still owns them and they still work for him, before teleporting them all back to their facilities. And that concludes the history of the Nerbs. Just a bunch of weird Fraggle Rock rejects. I think they're supposed to be like naked mole rats or something. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about these guys. They're just stereotypical nerds with the looks and being all antisocial and stuff. In fact, there's this running gag in their first appearance where Sonic and his friends keep calling them nerds, and they have to be corrected that they're called Nurbs. Yeah, they just took the D and flipped it around to be a B. Aside from that, the only memorable thing about issue 10 is just for the fact that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles make a cameo. Yeah, how exactly did that happen? Well, it's simply that back in the 90s, Archie used to make comics based off of the Turtles. Which, now that I look back at it, it's weird that they made crossovers of Sonic meeting Sabrina the Teenage Witch and later meeting random characters from the Image comics, but they never made a proper crossover with Sonic and the Turtles. And what's even more strange is that nowadays IDW owns the license to both franchises, and they still haven't made a crossover. Like, what gives? If they can do a crossover where the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles meet the frickin' Ghostbusters, why not do the same to Sonic? As for the Nerbs showing up in Sonic Universe, it was a surprise to see them return, yet odd at the same time. I mean, the Nerbs aren't the most sociable creatures on planet Mobius, so seeing them now working for Robotnik just comes off as being random. I remember hearing a rumor years ago that the reason why they suddenly came back was because the artist John Gray kept pestering Ian Fling to bring them back. No idea if that's true or not, somebody's gotta ask them about that. But yeah, the Nerbs are now sporting the Dark Age Legion attire with the cybernetic parts and the black hoods. And it's kind of funny that the Foreman looks like a knockoff version of the original Robotnik. Despite not getting much info on the Nerbs, the Complete Sonic Comic Encyclopedia provides some additional info on them that we don't see in the actual comics. Like how the Nerb King disappeared when the Nerbs joined the Dark Age Legion. They enslaved creatures called the Kraken, which are based off of that one guy from that one episode of Sonic Sat AM. And apparently there exists a group of Nerb freedom fighters who fight off the Foreman and his crew. Yeah, it's so weird. Despite the fact that we never see these Nerb freedom fighters show up in the comics, it's pretty obvious that they're all based off of Sonic and his team from Knothole. It does make me curious on what they were gonna do in the comics. Maybe their stories would have been like a throwback to the early days of Archie Sonic or something. Either way, I feel like the Nerbs just work better as being one-shot characters. Their designs and traits is something that just better fits the early days of Archie Sonic, rather than trying to adjust to the more current style. Well, that takes care of this character file. Next time I'm planning to cover a more major character from the comics. I posted a few polls on Twitter and YouTube asking people whether I should do Bunny Rabbit or the original Robotnik for the next episode, and it looks like that southern gal Bunny is winning the polls there. So it looks like she's gonna be next, as I'll be covering both the old canon and the new canon versions of said character. But until then, I got a juice!